Hello everyone, my name's Alyssa with Banyan, and I am coming to you live from Boynton Beach, Florida. And today on our Instagram Live, I'm super excited to have Mike and Lauren Sorrentino joining us today. They're an amazing couple, I love them, and they have a great story to share. So I'm very excited for them to hop on and be able to share it with you as well. So... Hey Chandler. They're going to be hopping on in less than a minute, so we're just gonna be waiting patiently. Hey Corey. Thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to join us. Like I said, very excited for this conversation we're going to be having today. I see Mike joined. Where are they at?
Ooh, there you are.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. How's everything going?
We're doing good. We're just taking it one day at a time. The only way we know how.
Yes. I'm very good. Really, how are you guys, especially during all this craziness?
We're good. We're, staying home and staying safe and just being responsible and trying to take care of ourselves,
Yep.
Fitness wise and positive wise, like all that from home.
I mean, obviously there's, it's a bit nerve wracking, the way that our country is right now, but at certain, I guess to a certain extent, we can't control that.
Right.
And we just got to let go and let God handle that and just be our best self.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out today to speak to us and speak to everyone.
Course.
Very excited. We haven't talked in a while, so.
Yeah. Cool.
So how have you guys been filling up your quarantine time, if you will? I know you've been working hard at putting that gym together.
Yeah. Well, we pretty much start our day with, I think the first task of the day is making the bed. And that is
it's a very important task.
Yeah. He's really big on making the bed. Like, if the bed is not made, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
But I will say he does it. So every day he makes the bed. It's like a huge ordeal for him. And it's just like a way to set the day positive.
Yep. Exactly. It's a way to set the tone for the day, to do even the smallest of tasks, your best. And then from that particular point, we can work off that. And then usually after that, we will, probably lead life with fitness, and we'll probably, whether go outside if it's a nice day. In the beginning, before I had my treadmill, I was doing wind sprints up the driveway, and just getting the body moving and getting endorphins flowing. And we've been keeping really busy with a lot of the interviews that we do, at least about, I don't know, like 1 to 3 at least a week, right?
Yeah. We're doing at least like 3 a week, I would say, and just trying to spread the message on the resources that are out there for people in recovery, like for people that are new to recovery, and also people who have had their routine for, maybe 5 to 10 years, and now everything's changed and they don't know what to do. So just trying to get that message out there to help them.
Yep. Yeah. And we always reach out to loved ones throughout the day. Yeah. Always send out olive branches to, just communicate, that us as humans, we need that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel like I've talked to my family more throughout this whole process than I ever do. You get so busy in life, and it takes a time like this to really, truly appreciate the little things, and having that routine. So I got to ask, Mike, how did it feel to be asked to do a public service announcement for the state of New Jersey?
Oh, wow.
I feel like that was so awesome.
So awesome. Yeah, that's a really good question. I was very excited. And I think in the beginning, if I was really honest, because, we have a really good relationship, I was a bit taken back. I was so proud of myself that they even called me and my wife to do this. And it just showed how far I have come in my recovery over the past almost 5 years now.
Yeah.
And we were just so proud to be a part of such a positive message for the state. And, with this, worldwide pandemic happening, it was really cool.
Yeah, and it just came naturally. He was on Twitter and tweeting with them like publicly with their tweets about letting us know what was happening and like staying like abreast of all of the news because it was very early during the quarantine. And then they just hit him up directly through Twitter in a private message, and we're like, let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so awesome. Just seeing it, you've overcome so much adversity, and like that's such a big deal, So definitely for the people in recovery out there, like that's a win for us,
Oh yeah, it was a huge win. The state tapped us on the shoulder, and we took the call, and we delivered a very positive message to the state, to the country, and we're just very grateful to be a part of it.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about your relationship with Banyan, because I'm sure there's some people on here that, aren't really familiar with what we do. So Mike and Lauren joined the Banyan team in November 2019, just the end of last year, and they are recovery advocates for Banyan. So what does that mean? They help us spread the message of recovery, inspiration, and help destigmatize the disease of addiction.
Yep.
So do you want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you've done and, how it's made an impact in your life as well?
Usually I think about once or twice, actually it's twice a month. We usually visit a Banyan treatment center and we spread our message of experience, strength, and hope. During the quarantine, it's been a little bit different. And now we do Zoom meetings, usually on a weekly basis, and we do interviews across the country for everyone from E! News to Fox to Access, and to spread the message about recovery, about Banyan treatment centers, about all the good things that we are doing, and of course about the online resources for everyone that is home right now. It's probably one of the most rewarding things me and my wife have ever done in our life, and I feel like it is our purpose in life to sort of share our message, as well as give hope to the hopeless and fight for those that are not fighting for themselves right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been there when you've surprised the patients before, and just the feeling of overwhelmingness, that they have. I know it's, as Devin put, major feels,
Oh,
the patients love it, you're giving back, and you can really feel the love in the room, and it makes such a difference in their lives, which I think is absolutely amazing. So
it's unbelievable. Every single event that we do with you guys, I get butterflies every single event.
Yeah,
no joke.
Honestly, every time we finish an event with you guys on the way home, I'm like, can we go do another one tomorrow? Or can we do it like next week and get it on the schedule? Because there is nothing that we do that brings us that much like happiness and, like he said, a sense of purpose of helping other people. And Mike always points this out, but when you're helping other people, you're helping yourself. So it's just like a huge full circle moment for, I feel like, humankind and just bettering yourself when we get to speak with all the Banyan treatment centers. Yeah,
and we're very grateful to be a part of such a organization that's doing such great and positive things. All you guys that are working behind the scenes are like, we're just so impressed with you guys.
Thank you. We try. So, Mike, why don't you talk a little bit about your road to recovery? Like, when did it begin, and what made you take that first step?
To be honest, I think for many years I was sort of in denial. I was living my worst life, and it started around in about 2012. I was not making my best decisions, and I decided to first go to rehab. At that time period in 2012. I didn't listen when I went to rehab. I didn't apply myself when I went. I got a taste of what rehab really was like. And I detoxed physically, but I didn't really, take care of the emotional and spiritual part, which you must do. You really have to, attack, mentally, physically, and spiritually, all three. And I did not do that. And eventually I ended up in rehab again, a year later. And the same cycle repeated for another two more times until in 2015, I pretty much, I had enough. I was, sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I decided, I said, you know what, things need to change. And I went to rehab, and I put all hands on deck, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do whatever it takes to recover. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be my best self, and I'm going to listen to the professionals. And that's exactly what I did. I realized that my best thinking had led me to rehab. Actually, I went through went to rehab 3 times, and I tried to recover 4 times.
Because you did it at home.
I did it at home. That doesn't count, but yeah.
No, but I think it's so important that you're talking about that, because that tends to be the path for a lot of people. You don't always get it the first time, and people can get discouraged. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. We were talking on our podcast this most recent week on the episode about how somebody wrote us a question in about relapse and if it's ever happened to him and how he experienced it. And he told, a story about that. And it did take him a few times, to go to treatment a few times until it stuck, until he kind of woke up and had his own moment to realize. And I think that's what it really takes, is for the person to have their own realization. The family members, the friends, the therapists, the treatment center, everybody can be there for you, supporting you. But the individual has to be ready to make that decision that this is their time to stay on that path.
You know what it was? I just didn't know myself at that time period. And that's really what it comes down to. I wasn't educated on addiction. I was young and brash, and I thought I knew everything. And I thought that my way would work, and it didn't. I had to realize I had to humble myself down. And I had to realize that I didn't know everything. And I had to accept that I had an obsessive or an addictive personality. And once I knew that, or once I accepted that, that's when I started to win.
Yeah. So Lauren, how did Mike's addiction affect your relationship as a family member, being there alongside of him? I mean, you guys have been together a long time. Yeah. So you've seen it all.
Yeah. So Mike and I had met pre-Jersey Shore era. Just to give like a good picture of it, we've known each other for about 15 years. We did not date during Jersey Shore, but before that we did for a few years in college, and then obviously after we reconnected and got married. However, I've seen him struggle through his addiction for 15 years, to be honest, up and down, from an experimental stage where it really starts when you're young and in college, to then seeing him go down different paths of getting clean for short periods of time and then relapsing. So throughout those times, he would build, get clean, build a little bit of trust, and then we never built everything up the way it is now and back then, until he really took the accountability
excuses,
and found the point where it was his time to say, okay, I'm done doing this my way. And I think for a lot of people, it takes a while for them to make that realization that their way is not working. So you need to really become desperate in being teachable and learnable and being like, it's now time for me to educate myself. And once Mike did that in 2015, we were able to rebuild our relationship and our life way better than it ever was, even prior to his addiction.
Yeah, well, you also need to tell them that in early 2015, when we first really got recovery, like, we were homeless. We didn't have the money or the millions that everyone thinks we had or still have now. We were homeless. We didn't have a place to live. We didn't have a car at that time.
Yeah, and the relationship was completely fractured. The relationship at that point was, we've always been so close. Like, we've kind of always been each other's family, of a support system. But because of the using and the behaviors that would go on when he was using, the relationship was just, the trust was gone. It was just shitty, but we were just trying to get by and trying to survive, basically, life. So once he made the decision to go away, I supported him. I always supported him as long as he was doing the right thing, but I would have to just juggle the boundaries of when he was actively using versus when he wasn't. And then once he got clean in November, December of 2015, then every day, just a little bit at a time, we started rebuilding. And like he said, we had no resources. Like he had spent all of his money, like everything. He had no place to live. He was always renting because he was just traveling so much for work and whatever the case may be, didn't own a home. We were leaning on certain close family members or friends just to get like the basic necessities and we just stayed focused, and he just kept doing the hard work and staying the road. And then a day would turn into a week would turn into a month, and a month would turn into a year. And you would look back and be like, oh my God, I can't believe we're like this far advanced from where we were. And it's all just from staying on the road and never getting off of it.
Yep. Every step just brings you to another milestone. And you guys have been through so much together.
Yes.
You did a good job making sure to keep this one tied down. So, Mike, how did it feel just, struggling with addiction while being in the public eye? I got to imagine that takes a large toll on you as an individual trying to get clean compared to somebody who isn't in the public eye.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. In 2012, I went to a rehab, and immediately someone sold a picture of me while I was in rehab. And eventually I left within about, 2 days I left?
Yeah.
About 2 days. And that's what I was speaking about before when I had detoxed myself in a private house with a doctor and nurse. My recovery was robbed at that particular time period. And I saw something on the news recently about somebody going through the same thing. And I was very, very upset about that.
Yeah, I was really upset about that. But just because I felt like anytime you can relate to something, you're like, oh, that's like a gut punch, and you just see someone trying to want to better themselves, and you just want to give them the privacy and the respect as a human being to find that better life. And it is challenging as a public figure with the pressure, I feel like.
It was very hard, but at the end of the day, this is the profession that I chose, 10 years ago. I've always dreamed of being on TV or being in movies. I didn't dream of being a reality TV star, but that's just the way the cards went. And
you played the role well, so
I wouldn't change a thing. I believe that I'm a role model right now, and I'm I walk it like I talk it, and I'm happy to be in front of you telling our story right now. So yeah, it's definitely not easy.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that, you did bring that up, because it's so important for people to realize that, people in the public eye, celebrity, they're real humans, So let's treat them with the respect that you would want to be treated with.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, Lauren, I think you were talking earlier about when you are doing the press and talking to people about the online resources for people struggling with addiction or trying to, do recovery during this time. Do you want to talk a little bit about what those are specifically?
Yeah, so there's a few of them that are out there. There's actually a lot that are even popping up now that we've been quarantined for I don't even know how many months at this point. But a big one is intherooms.com, and then there's nabyphone.com, and a bunch of other big ones. But what I really like to persuade everybody to do when they're looking for these online resources is to kind of create your own virtual meeting, whether it's on Zoom or FaceTime or whatever app you prefer, but to get that real virtual face-to-face time in with the people that you're used to seeing.
A connection,
and whether it's your Monday night meeting or Friday night meeting, get those people together, get their phone numbers, their emails, and get that connection in. You could even do your step work. There's so many different things you can do, but I think it's really important to get that visual and also have that accountability of that time that you're putting into group work recovery every week.
It works if you work it, they say. And if you don't know where to turn to, obviously there's a number on the bottom of your screen, 1-888-270-5712, if you or someone you know needs some resources.
Awesome. Lauren, so what would you give as advice to a family member that currently has someone in their household struggling with addiction?
Yeah, so it's really tough. I know that it's one of the most frustrating things to do when you're a family member or a loved one of a person in active addiction, because you just are desperate and want nothing more for them but to see the light within themselves. And I think the best piece of advice I could give is really to just always be the support option there for them when they're ready to make that step, because you can't force them to do it.
Yes.
You can send them to rehab as many times as possible, but it's up to them to take those tools and apply them and make the right choices once they leave there. So that's the first part of it. And then the second part is not to ever lose faith in them. Because like Mike said, he had to go to rehab 3/4 times, including the time he did it on his own at his house. So if I had just been like, this is never going to happen, you know what I mean? I'd be missing out on the most amazing marriage with my soulmate and all of these amazing opportunities that we get to share the world together with, by giving up on him. And everybody's human. Everybody makes mistakes. And it's just, it's frustrating. It's easier said than done, but definitely reminding them about the things they love, I feel like really helps and speaks to a lot of people, because addicts are not stupid. They're actually very smart and they know what they're doing is not right. But they're stuck in a cycle.
They just don't know what to do.
They just don't know how to end it. So if you remind them about like the things they're passionate about, whether they played football in high school or they're really into music, obviously, whatever they were into, they're not doing while they're using. So if you just remind them about those things they love, they'll remember like some of that stuff, and hopefully it'll get them on the right path.
Yep.
Those are some really good points to make. It's almost like addiction makes the addict like a shell of a person. So it's trying to like break that shell to get them to remember who they are on the inside.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Which is basically what you're saying.
I mean, bottom line, they need to seek professional help. I mean, there's really no way around that. You can't do it, on your own. You have to seek professional help, and those that have gone before you and those that have been successful. And that's what you have to do.
Yeah. Mike, what would you say to someone, let's say somebody watching this right now is struggling with addiction. What would you want to say to them?
If they are struggling with addiction right now, I would tell them that the comeback is greater than the setback. Okay, to never give up on yourself, because Big Daddy Sitch is not going to give up on you. I would tell them to call Banyan Treatment Centers at 1-888-270-5712, and let's get it.
Awesome. So what else have you guys been working on since you've been home? You have any fun projects in the works? I know you've been talking about the podcast a lot. How's that going?
Yeah, the podcast is going really great. It's called Here's the Sitch Podcast, and it's wherever you can listen to them. And we actually, right before the quarantine started, we launched this. And luckily, we put a studio in our house. It's not a studio. It's just a small room with like 2 mics. But we got this set up working because we're really busy oftentimes, so that we don't have to go to New York and to record an episode. And now it worked out because we've been able to keep getting those episodes out while being at home. So we've just been focusing on that. And what else?
The positive podcast you never knew you needed. It's doing awesome. We have a YouTube channel called The Situations, which we do Eating Our Best Life. We do prison stories. And we have a lot of cool, fun stuff coming with that. I think we just hit 152,000 subscribers, and we just started it, so we're very excited about that. We also have our t-shirt business, which is our clothing business, which is killing the game, which we are wearing the short
new
nice. Let me see.
This
the
one
honeys.
says honeys. Yeah.
Yes, and this one is the Shore Father,
Which was
that
great.
that's Big Daddy Sitch right there. Okay. And our clothing business is really killing it. We're waiting for the coronavirus to be lifted, or the restrictions, so that we can start filming the next season of Jersey Shore, as well as a development project that we're working with MTV around recovery.
Yeah.
It's all super exciting stuff.
Yes.
So I have to go back to the eating portion of your YouTube channel. First of all, every time I see any of it, it makes me extremely jealous. But how have you guys been doing eating while being home? Are you staying on your diet? Or are you making a couple of cakes here or there? How's that been going? It
started as a real struggle.
Definitely difficult in the beginning.
Which I feel like with everybody it might have. But yeah, Mike, went hardcore.
The first
snacks,
2 weeks, right?
Ice cream, everything he could find in the pantry and the freezer. He went crazy for about 2 weeks. And then his switch went off, and he's like, "All right, I have to stop."
Yeah, it was that addictive,
Yeah.
personality that I have. For 2 weeks, we were just really eating our best life, and then eventually, my recovery self like kicked in, and I said, implement balance, and then we just have our one cheat day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's tough. You're in a weird predicament. You wind up eating your feelings essentially. You're bored. You're moving around the house. It's a typical thing that people do. Open up their refrigerator and stare at it.
We were doing that, and then eventually after 2 weeks, I said enough is enough. And what I like to do for myself and as a family, we like to sort of like reflect or self-evaluate like what we're doing, and we were just eating way too much, and our business is in front of the cameras, so we said we got to cut it out.
Right. Can't be doing that for too long.
Yeah.
So what are you guys most excited about when the quarantine has been lifted and the world is back to normal? What is the first thing that you guys cannot wait to do?
I mean, I would say the word would be everything. But we would love to go to obviously see our family and friends. Mm-hmm. That's most important.
Yeah.
Obviously, go to a gym that's open, and go to a restaurant that's open. We'd like to start filming the new season of Jersey Shore and our new recovery project that we have. So there's so much things that we want to do. And we're just taking it one day at a time until those restrictions get lifted. Right?
Yeah, it's really just the little things, like going to my mom's or his mom's and just seeing family, celebrating birthdays like normal people, and sitting and getting waited on at a restaurant, because the amount of dishes I do these days are pretty crazy. So that would be nice. But just little simple things like normal life would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's times like these that really make you appreciate those little things and what we had.
Yeah.
I'm just so excited to get it all back.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I don't have any more questions for you. Thank you so much for hopping on. It was a pleasure speaking with you guys.
Yes.
Hope we can see you guys soon. Yeah, of course.
Yes, it's good to see you. Stay safe and And how are you guys doing down in Florida?
I mean, it's beautiful out, so, going outside and getting some exercise is nice. Obviously, we're still doing very well, taking care of patients.
God bless.
Yeah, we're making sure our staff are safe.
Yes.
It's just, we're not obviously nowhere near as bad as New Jersey is. And
yes,
I absolutely feel for you guys, being a fellow New Jersey person myself and my family there. Yeah. But, we're going to get through this.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you guys so much. Have a good day.
We do recover. Let's go.
We do recover. Bye.
Bye.